Hi everyone, welcome back to Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Today's video is my TBR for Jane Austen July. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name's Alice and I have way too many books, and today I'm going to be talking about the books that I plan to read for Jane Austen July, probably the biggest YouTube event at this time of year. So in July we will gather on BookTube to read Jane Austen, and despite the fact that I haven't yet completed reading all of Jane Austen's books, more on that in a moment, I have been participating in this every year since being on BookTube. This is an event hosted every year by the lovely Katie from Books and Things, the wonderful Claudia from Spinster's Library, and the brilliant Marissa from Blatantly Bookish. And I really enjoy this event. It's got some great prompts, and they're the same prompts every year. So I will be talking first of all about all the books I plan to read for Jane Austen July, and then I plan to talk about my other plans, because it wouldn't be a July or a month without me having other plans as well. So I do have a few buddy reads to talk about, a couple of book club reads, and after that, if there's any time left, I will hopefully be sort of trying to catch up with my giant bookshelf. I've been trying to read from my giant bookshelf for the last few months, but a lot of library books have got in the way, and there will still be library books this month for sure. There will still be audiobooks, there will still be books borrowed from my mum. So anything else that I tack on to the other plans for the month, other possibilities, will be from my giant bookshelf, hopefully. So let's get into what the books are, and we're going to start with Jane Austen July. So the number one prompt always with Jane Austen July, and the only one you really need to fulfill to participate, is to read a book by Jane Austen. And prompt number one is for one of the main 6 of Jane Austen's books. Let's see if I can remember the main 6. They are Northanger Abbey, Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Mansfield Park, Emma, and Persuasion. And I have read 5 out of 6 of those books, which works perfectly because it means I can read the 6th one for this prompt this year. And I am going to be buddy reading my final Jane Austen Big 6 book with the lovely Gemma from Gemma Books. That will make a great start to this month. I'm going to be borrowing Sense and Sensibility from the library because Sense and Sensibility is my final Jane Austen Big 6 book that I have never got to. So I hear mixed things about Sense and Sensibility. I know it is a favourite for some people. I know it is also quite low down the ranking list for other people. I may well be able to make my own ranking after I've read this one, because then I will know my opinions on all 6. What I'm looking forward to about Sense and Sensibility that I didn't particularly look forward to with Pride and Prejudice is I don't know as much about this one as I did about Pride and Prejudice. With Pride and Prejudice, I'd put it off for years because I just felt so oversaturated with Pride and Prejudice information. I don't think I'd even watched an adaptation in full apart from Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, but I just felt like I knew the book so well before even picking it up. So I don't have that problem with Sense and Sensibility. All I really know is I believe this is a book about 2 sisters. I think they're called the Dashwoods, and I think they are sort of living in relative poverty, and usually in Jane Austen they're probably on the lookout for husbands because that's usually the way. So don't know very much. Glad to be going into it relatively free of the prejudice I had for Pride and Prejudice. So Sense and Sensibility is going to be my first read of July. Second prompt, and I will link all of these in the description down below, along with all of the hosts and all of my lovely people that I'm buddy reading with. And the second prompt is Jane Austen, but not one of the main novels. So there is a group read this year for Northanger Abbey, which obviously is one of the main 6 novels, and there is also a group read to read some of Jane Austen's juvenilia, i.e. the books that she wrote in her youth. And I may read some of those. I think some are available online, and if you are interested in that, go and check out Katie from Books and Things video, because she has listed them all and where you can find them. So I may join in with some of those. I also borrowed this from my mum last year, which is Lady Susan, The Watsons and Sanditon. Now, Lady Susan was one of the read-alongs last year, and I read some of it, and then I didn't finish it. I think I just got busy with other things, and this sort of fell by the wayside because it was borrowed from my mum and not something from my TBR. So I could go back to Lady Susan, I could read The Watsons, I could read Sanditon. Plenty of possibilities for prompt number 2. The third prompt is non-fiction about Jane Austen or her time. And I don't think I actually completed this prompt last year, because I did buy an audiobook in the sale ready for this. I think I might have even bought it during July. And that was Jane Austen at Home by Lucy Worsley. Now, I haven't actually yet read a Lucy Worsley book, and I expect you're all wondering, why haven't I read Lucy Worsley's Agatha Christie book? But yeah, maybe I need to build up to that. So I've got this audiobook. If I do read some non-fiction about Jane Austen, it will be this one, and I'll be listening to it. I don't know an awful lot about it. I assume it's about Jane Austen and her different homes. So looking forward to reading that. So prompt number 4 is a retelling of a Jane Austen, or a work of historical fiction set in Jane Austen's time. Now, for this one, I've got another audiobook, this time borrowed from Libby, and this is going to be another buddy read with the lovely Flick Phillips. I think I met her through the 6 Tudor Queens read-along, and we had a very unsuccessful buddy read back in January, where we attempted to read To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. I don't think it was the right time for me to read that book, and I've set it aside, hoping to go back to it. So we are going to try a reworking or like follow-on book from Jane Austen, which is The Murder of Mr. Wickham, who was a character in Pride and Prejudice, by Claudia Gray. Now, I'm hoping that this will be a better audio than Death Comes to Pemberley by P.D. James, because I didn't particularly enjoy that last year. It was fine, but it wasn't what I hoped it would be. And I don't think P.D. James is an author for me, to be honest. So interested to see what Claudia Gray does with The Murder of Mr. Wickham. I don't know anything else about it, but I'm assuming it's about Mr. Wickham getting murdered. So we will see. Now, prompt number 5 is the prompt I don't think I'm going to be able to fulfill, and that is a book by a contemporary of Jane Austen. I don't have anything lined up for this. If you have a plan and you would like to recommend me a book, please do let me know in the comments section down below. Probably won't be fulfilling that prompt. The other 2 prompts are about watching screen adaptations, prompt number 6 and 7. One is to watch a direct screen adaptation, i.e. one that keeps like the time period and everything. And one is to watch a modern adaptation. So for the modern one, I would like to watch Clueless again. I always say this, I always want to watch Clueless again. I love Clueless. I was so helped in my reading of Emma by having recently watched Clueless and knowing that Clueless was an adaptation of Emma, and I think Clueless is actually a very faithful adaptation of Emma, considering that it's been transplanted to a 90s American high school. Love that film. We'll definitely revisit it if I get time this July. For the direct screen adaptation, I still have, I think it was a BBC series of Emma to watch on DVD. Borrowed this from my mum last Jane Austen July, and still haven't watched it. So I've got that one, and my mum has also offered to lend me the mini-series of Sense and Sensibility, so I may well do that to complement my reading of Sense and Sensibility. We will see. So lots of possibilities for Jane Austen July. My main plan is definitely to read Sense and Sensibility and The Murder of Mr. Wickham. The other things, hopefully, I will fit in as well. So apart from Jane Austen related books, I have a few books planned for buddy reads and planned for book clubs, so let's get into those. First up, I'm going to be buddy reading with Jolene from Bookworm Adventure Girl, and this will be my first ever buddy read with Jolene, so I'm looking forward to that. And we're going to be reading The Bone Collector by Geoffrey Deaver. Now, up until last year, I had 3 Geoffrey Deaver books on my shelf. I hadn't actually tried any of them. And last year I read, I think it might have even been his debut novel, Manhattan is My Beat. And this is the first in the Lincoln Rhyme series, which is Geoffrey Deaver's more famous work. And this was adapted as a film quite famously. I think it's about like a serial killer and Lincoln Rhyme. I think I have seen the film of this a long time ago, or at least parts of the film. Can't really remember that much about it, so looking forward to reading that with Jolene. Also, as a buddy read, I have The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. Been wanting to get to this one for absolutely ages, and when I recently bought another Kazuo Ishiguro book, the lovely Gemma from Gemma Books offered to read this one with me. And so, yes, we are fitting in 2 buddy reads to the month of July. And this one is one of Kazuo Ishiguro's most famous. It's also been adapted as a film, but I haven't seen it. And this is set in the summer of 1956. And Stevens, the ageing butler of Darlington Hall, embarks on a leisurely holiday that will take him deep into the countryside and into his past. And it says on the back here, a contemporary classic, The Remains of the Day is Kazuo Ishiguro's beautiful and haunting evocation of life between the wars in a great English house. So yeah, looking forward to this one a lot. I read 3 Ishiguros last year and have yet to get to one this year, so can't wait for this one. So next up we have a couple of continuing book clubs. One is the book club that I run with Jack from Sped Bookjoy and Gemma from Gemma Books, and that is the FOMO Book Club. Now there is still time to join in with our FOMO Book Club pick for May and June, which was Kiran Millwood Hargrave's book The Dance Tree. If you haven't read that yet and you do want to join in with us, do check out the details down below. We have a Discord, we have a Goodreads group, and both of those can be joined from the links in the description down below. At the end of the second month of each, we always do a live show. Now the live show for the Dance Tree won't actually take place until the weekend of the first full week in July, so I think it's going to be the 9th of July, so you have got time to read the Dance Tree. I've just started it and really intrigued to see how it develops. So if you want to join in with our May and June pick, there is still time. If you would like to join us for our July and August pick, that is going to be probably the most famous book, the most hyped book on our list that 2 of us out of 3 have not yet read, and I am one of those 2. So this is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, an absolute darling of BookTube and Bookstagram and probably everything else that does book content. This is a retelling of Achilles' story, as far as I know, during the Trojan Wars, and with Patroclus as well as a main character, I believe. So I have read another book that's like a retelling of this time period, which was The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. I thought that was very good. And yeah, this has got a lot of hype to live up to. This is definitely a book I fear I've missed out on. So if you also fear you've missed out on The Song of Achilles, or you would like to reread it, we will be reading it in FOMO Book Club in July and August, and we'll be talking about it over on Gemma's channel at the end of August. So the one in July, the live show at the beginning of July for the Dance Tree, that's going to be here on my channel, so look out for more details. And this one we will hopefully have a live at the end of August, early September about this one. Yeah, really looking forward to getting to that one. And the other book club that I frequently join in with is the Killer Reads Thriller Month Book Club. I'm still halfway through June's pick, The Martian by Andy Weir, but the next one is a book that I've never heard of, and that is The Night of the Hunter by Davis Grubb. Now, this book is literally just about on the verge of getting a reprint or a reissue or something in the UK, because it's on order at my library, and I think when I checked on websites it's available for pre-order. I think it's coming out in July, so I hopefully will get to this in July. I have reserved it at the library, and we will see if it comes in by the end of July. Don't know anything about this book to tell you at all. So this will be an interesting surprise. But the Killer Reads Thriller Month Book Club, if I haven't said, is run by the lovely AJ over at AJ Dunn Reads and Writes. And in Killer Reads Thriller Month Book Club, we read a book every month that is from the Penguin Random House 60 Greatest Thrillers of All Time. The other thing I am probably going to be continuing is that I did say in my June TBR that I was going to be buddy reading the second book in Joe Abercrombie's First Law trilogy, Before They Are Hanged. I was buddy reading that with Gemma from Gemma Books and Jack from Spread Bookjoy, and we are likely to go on to the third book in July because we want to go pretty much straight on with the series, and we're not quite finished Before They Are Hanged yet, but I think that third book is called Last Argument of Kings, and I will likely read that or most of it in the month of July. So apart from that, I do want to carry on with reading through my giant TBR and any books that I've bought recently and added to my giant TBR. I'm still in the mood for more crime fiction and thrillers, so some of the things I'm hoping to get to are my sort of backlog of books from my Mr. B's crime subscription. I would really like to get to Douglas Skelton's An Honourable Thief this month. I think, shamefully, this might have been March's book for the Crime Syndicate subscription, so I really do need to get to this one. It's a historical crime. We also have Don Winslow's City on Fire. I think this was the book for April. I would really like to get to that one as well. I also do have June's book that I received recently, which was Black Ice by Karen Gerhardsen. And as I've already mentioned in another video, I am going to be reading Around the World for the Women's World Cup Readathon, which is being hosted by Mark from Book Time with Elvis, Roz from Scallydandling About the Books, and Jack from Rambling Raconteur, along with me. And we are going to be reading books from a random country drawn out of the hat for each of us. I have been drawn Denmark, and lots of people are participating in this. There's still time before it all kicks off. It's running alongside the Women's World Cup, which starts on the 20th of July. So there's still plenty of time to get involved. I'll link the Discord in the description down below. If you turn up in the Discord and ask me to draw you a team, I will do so, and you will have a random team from the 32 teams that are competing to read a book from, and then you basically read another book if your team loses, and you read from the team that your team loses to. So I'm going to be reading a book for Denmark initially, and Denmark in their group are up against England, Haiti, and the People's Republic of China. So I may well have to read a book from those three countries as well. Not too worried about England because I have quite a lot of books by English authors. I will have to do I still need to do some research about Haiti and China. But if you do have any recommendations from those countries, do let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Come the 20th of July, I will either have read in July a book from Denmark, or I will be about to read a book from Denmark. So that one should be out of the way in July. The World Cup runs into August, so I will be definitely reading from some countries in July and some in August, unless Denmark prove to be the team that goes all the way. If I had any time in amongst all those other things, my plan would be to read more from my giant TBR. As I've said, I would like to get to some of the books that have been on my TBR a long time, especially books that I have mentioned in other TBRs this year and still not got to. I do also have on my book trolley a few books from the library that I'd love to get to, but we will have to see how it goes with all the other plans in July. So do let me know in the comments, are you joining in with Jane Austen July? Are you going to be reading anything exciting next month? Do let me know. I will link all related videos in the description down below. And if you've enjoyed this video today, please do give it a like. Please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. And yeah, I do make videos here on BookTube, especially overly ambitious TBRs, on a very regular basis, and I would love to have you here for the ride. So yes, I will hope very much to see you all again soon for another video all about books here on Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Bye for now.